I think they're beautiful. So see here again, in the art world, some things that we like, other people don't like for the reason. I'll put another one right there, a little smaller one. And while these are setting up, we'll go down and do a little more groundwork. Then we'll finish up our dead tree, our big one. And we got a few other trees to go in here. Now this tree over here, see it's on the other side, so and then you see the difference between the two values. It's a little lighter. Okay, now then, we're going to cast a little darker shadow on the snow. And you see, I've gone in here, folks, and I've put some more grays and browns and whites. And we're going to play with this because I wanted this to look like an old muddy road where it's kind of been melting and then refreezing and melting, and maybe somebody's driven on it or walked on it. So we'll play with that a little bit too. But right now, I'm going to cast a little darker shadow right through here. We'll take your same brush, rinse it out good, of course. Go down here and take a little bit of blue, a little bit of purple, a little bit of brown, and you get this, and of course a little bit of white to opaque it and give it a little bit more crispness. Should be a little darker. Yeah, there we go. You want to cast a shadow from the side of edge of the building, like this, up into those trees. Just kind of scrub this on back here like this. It kind of made a little drip right there. So you take this cast shadow and you scrub it back here. Because remember, we decided that our light source is going to come in from the right-hand side. And so anything that you're going to cast, like you can take a little, I put a little cast shadow from these trees back here. Anything you see that's going to have a little cast, you don't have too many. You have this side of the building, a couple on these. You have a little down in here up against your bushes, see, like this. In the shadowed side, that's the cast from the bushes. And just kind of drift it up into it a little bit. You can put some up, see, down in the dirt. So what I want you to do is take that sort of that grayish purple, and you use that as your shadow color in the snow. Even down over here, see, I'll put some in this area. Because as you get to the front of the building, the painting, you want to have a little bit of snow showing, but it's in the shadow. You want it to be darker down here. So see, I just put little rounds. It looks just like an old muddy red road. I love this effect. And again, only an artist can get excited about a dirty, muddy, ruddy road. That's just the way it is. I'm mixing up a little more formula here. I ran out there. It's the blue, the brown, not too much brown, of course, and the purple. And you can change the value a little bit, the color. Yeah, that's not going to match, but it doesn't really have to. I was just close. I'm putting this center part in where the snow's piled up, between the ruts. And then you make little piles. See, I'm just making little piles. Just make little rounded spots. And it looks just like the snow then has melted in spots and refrozen and then melted, and it just gets that chunky, muddy. Well, I think it's interesting. Most people don't. If you have to live in it, I guess, but artistically, it's really cool looking. So see, I'm just putting these little soft drips of this color in there. It looks really natural. Yeah, I like that. Now, while we're working on that, let's go ahead and take a little bit of white and lighten it a little bit. So just take some white. Go over to the edge of that pile and lighten it substantially. And maybe put a teeny touch of orange in it, just a smidgen. And now you can see you can come in here and you can put some lighter areas where the sun's hitting the top of some of these little piles. You can even take your finger and blur it a little bit there. See, that'll make it look like the sun's hitting the edge where it's coming in here. This is so neat. See, just little touches of color. Isn't that cool looking? This looks like an old, ruddy, muddy, and don't think I've ever taught this before in a class or in one of our TV shows. So this is kind of fun to show you how to do this. Just kind of rock your brush, leaving these little mounds. So you're just not covering up as much area as you would if it was a big, see, like up here, it's a big smooth area. But down here, it's kind of choppy and broken. And you just pick up the high spots, see, like this with a little bit of the sun hitting the edge of some of the clumps. Like this. Isn't that cool? And you keep it a little more in shadow here. Remember, this is where your eye is going to fade back into the shadow just a little bit. So now what we're going to do is just play that little game, and you can do a little more of that on your own. Again, I don't want to spend the whole program on that because we got a few more things we got to deal with. But anyway, that's about all I'm going to do there. Now let's kind of put a little bark on this tree. Don't want to do too much, but we want to put a little highlight, sticking with the same. Well, actually, let's go to the number 6 chisel edge brush. That'd probably be a little better. Come down here, just find a spot. See where it's kind of muddy? Add a little white to it, a little bit of orange. You get this warm, kind of a dirty, muddled color right there like that. Now this is going to be neat. Turn your brush sideways. Your canvas sideways. I'm going to hold it up here. Hopefully they can go to your dabble blender, test this off. I'm going to make it just a little bit stronger on the orange because I want it to look a little more glowing. Take your brush and you kind of tap it on the edge like this. Right up the edge, and then you pull in and you pull it, and then you skip little spaces. And as you go across, you lighten your pressure, and you kind of create more of a mottled, irregular shapes and forms. Take your finger and kind of blur it just a little bit. Don't go all the way across, but do go all the way up. And then when you look at this, you'll be amazed how cool it looks. See, I'm just pulling across. I'm leaving little chunks of the tree of the dark coming through. Go all the way up. Now look what happens when you turn it sideways or back up. Yeah, see, it just looks like old bark along the edge of the tree there. Isn't that cool? I love that effect. Now you do the same thing to the top of the limb. You know, but you just kind of roll your brush like this and just kind of put little taps where it joins onto the tree. And it kind of makes it look like it's coming out instead of just stuck on the edge. And then in a minute, you can come in there with your script brush and finish some of it. Yeah, pull a little stroke right there. It makes it look like it's attached to the front of the tree. A little highlight on this one. Keep right down the top of it. Now, what I would do is take my script brush, and then we can quickly find out. It is. Go up here in your dark area. Roll your brush around. Remember to get it nice and soupy. Roll your brush. It's pretty dark. Just the blue and the brown. Add plenty of water is what you want to use here. Twist and roll it. Let's go and get a few more limbs in here, and then I'll show you some of the other odds and ends we're going to do. Now take this limb and let's finish it. Now when you've done the main thing with the bigger brush, now you can come right on over the steeple. Bring the limb right on into the painting. This is scary. It's why I wanted to do this program, because this has got a lot of, oh yeah, we've painted snow before and other things, but I've never taken it to this level of really doing this much upfront stuff. So you just want to get a lot of limbs in here now to create the effect that this church is way out there in the woods. This tree right here is critical to helping create that effect, but also adds a depth to the painting that you need. And this comes right in the foreground. So get quite a few limbs here. Some coming off the canvas and coming down into it. You know, there's other limbs up higher. That's another thing a lot of you are afraid to do. Don't be afraid of it. Just do it and do it afraid. You know my motto. Just do it and do it afraid. Now, obviously, if you're not completely done with your church, Well, go ahead and finish it before you would do this, but at least you see what to do. Come in with all these limbs, don't be afraid, and just keep putting them in. Get a nice batch of them overlapping. This is one of those paintings where the script brush gets a phenomenal workout. And it's really good for us all, including me. See, there'll be some coming up there that you can't see because they're off the canvas, but you know they're up there, so they're going to be coming up from behind the tree. So you got to use that, what we call artistic common sense, knowing that things are up there. You just have to know that, and then just have fun putting them in. And I'm a big fan of a bunch of it. You know, you might think, well, I don't want to get it too busy. Well, of course you don't, and it's possible, I guess, but not likely. The more limbs, the better in this case. Both sides, coming back over here. This one also could be finished out a little bit more. You may not want to put so much emphasis on it, especially if these trees are dry now. I want to go ahead and get a little snow on those right quick. But see if you go ahead and get a couple of limbs coming up here. And see how that brings this tree right up front? Man, I love that. You can put a lot of little, you know, little things that that little pieces that grow off of them. And we'll let that set for now. Let's do a little snow work on our trees. Go back to your number 4 bristle brush. The first thing you want to do is take just a little bit of the gray. Take the white with a little bit of this blue gray down here that we use. It's got that little purple tint to it. Tap it under your brush. Here and just tap it on your tree like this. And kind of follow the contour of the tree shape. See how that makes it stand out? Then you can put whiter snow on it if you want to. Some people don't like to put a lot of real bright white snow in. They like it more in these duller tones. And it's a combination. It depends on the atmosphere, the time of day, how high or low the sun is, of course. All that kind of stuff is sort of dictates how you finish this stuff. But I like keeping mine kind of on the gray side. So I'm not wanting tons of bright light in here. See how cool that works? It makes the tree look a little more dimensional. Do a little bit on these. Of course, the majority of the snow is on the right-hand side. That serves two purposes. Yes, it gives us a little light source, but it also maybe gives you an indication that that's where the snow is drifting the most. Okay. Yeah, now we're cooking. That's looking pretty good. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to put a little more brighter snow along the ridge right here. We'll take the same brush, rinse it out, take a little bit of your white, and go up here to my dabble board, and just a touch of orange to it. Blend it in. A little more orange. Don't get it too orange. You put a little yellow in it. And then come up here and you drag your brush like this, creating the little highlights along the edge here where you know the snow is going to hit. Put it up against the edge of the building. Isn't it beautiful? It just adds that little bit of a glow. You kind of tap it down in between the grasses and maybe on top of the little ruts here a little bit brighter. Because remember we were talking about that, getting this to look kind of like old melted snow. So you got to have it kind of drifted down in between your grasses. And you just soften it. And feather it into your shadow back there. Then it looks like it's kind of coming down a little hillside. I think this effect is fascinating. And I get excited about everything. So you would think after a while you get tired of this, but I've been doing this since I was a kid. And I never get tired of this. This is just exciting. Every time you pick up a brush. Okay, now just come in here like this. Bigger masses, bigger strokes. Put a little in the back there where you know it's going to be some in the background. It comes across there. It kind of sets the stage for that. But the light's going to come behind the building too. And then just finish this area out. Then all you do is you come back with your script brush, of course, and you put a few weeds and twigs and branches, and you just take the time you want to finish this out to fit your personality and what it is you're trying to achieve in this painting. You know, I just like all the stuff, the trees and the movement of all the little mounds of snow and the little chunks of grass that you see here, the little residual highlights from the sun hitting the edge of the road like this. It just looks like the sun just hitting little spots of the dirt. So I'm going to suggest that all of you, even though we're done with this show, this is one of those rare shows where it's almost impossible to really finish the painting very well. In fact, none of them you can really finish because, you know, these are just, you can't, it's hard to do a great painting in just a few shows in 30 minutes. It's just really almost impossible. So that's why I like for y'all to go in there and kind of finish it up on your own. Let's go here on the right-hand side, do a similar thing. Just take a little bit of this snow and just a little bit of it right here. And down on the edge of this bank. Wow, that looks really cool. And anywhere else you see that you want to put some little touches of snow drifting up against the building, up against the, see, make some little streaks, like there's some steps there, drifting up against the edge there, back up in there. You can just have fun placing the snow wherever you want it. And then once you kind of get it all set up like that, then you come back with your script brush and you start the finishing. Now this is what I wanted to show you. Go in here now, folks, and use warmer ones. Like, see, I started some over here on the right-hand side. See all the brush right there coming out of the corner right there, this area? Well, this is what I want you to do now. Come out of your clumps and really go to town putting a lot of this little weed stuff, little bushes. This will add a little bit of flavor to the painting, a little more of the ruggedness of the woods. You can put some lighter colored ones in there if you'd like. Put some over here on the other side before we forget. Don't be afraid of this side. See, now this is important because this overlaps the snow. Give you your contrast that you need. This look what you can do with this script brush. Isn't it an amazing brush? So folks, just go through and add all these little weeds and limbs and all the things that make your painting yours, and just have a good time doing it. A lot of overlap, tall ones, short ones. So I like these down here in the foreground to add a little bit of foreground material that sometimes we're afraid to do. Don't be afraid of a few lighter ones as well. Like I could go in here with a little bit of white, a little bit of orange, maybe a little yellow, and create some really warmer ones. We don't want too much, but maybe a little bit of lighter ones in here, like this. Be good. And then over in the left-hand corner, we want to put another little bit of an eye stopper, another little twiggy branch. I'm going to take my finger and blend the base of those in a little bit. But I love these golden ones in here. These add a nice little touch like the sun's hitting those. Isn't that cool looking? Maybe a few over here. And you can put more, of course. I'll let you kind of decide that. I'm just showing you the finishing touches you can do to yours. But on the left-hand side over here, I'm going to put my final sapling in. I don't want to get out of time here and show you this. Because really, it's up to you now. I would probably suggest all of you spend another, couple hours on this. If I were to really finish this properly, where I really put a lot of emphasis on, I would. But I'm going to have me another sapling right here now. It comes up at the base of this tree. And this will help to seat this tree, but it also helps end the eye stopper phase of this painting. Just put in lots of little limbs coming up on this little sapling here. And you can still add other little trees in there if you want to. I wouldn't put a lot of highlighting in this painting, folks, on all the trees because it'll get too busy. See, with all the limbs that are in here, all of the little bushes, all of the little snow drifts, it's already pretty busy. And that's the busyness, that's all the busyness you need. You don't need to add a lot of real strong light on anything. But you do want to get these little saplings in here to help seat this tree. And it helps to kind of settle the corner down. It's a great eye stopper. See how cool that works? This just really settles everything down nicely. Nice contrast against the snow. Really finishes out this. Then you just take whatever time you want to finish out your building here. If you want to put some little cracks, some little wood, I like to put a few little cracks and things with your strip brush. It's wonderful for that. If it is an old building or there's no one in it, I did a painting like this not too long ago, and it was an old Western church, and I had some cowboys on their horses parked outside, a couple of buggies. You might want to do that. But it's really up to you how you finish out these things, folks. Of course, you can always put a couple of icicles. Just dip your brush straight in white. And right down on the corner here, you can just drag a little white like this. Just drip it down like the icicles on the edge. That looks really cool. So you might think about stuff like that. You can add a little more color to it here and there. You can put a deer standing back in there. You can put an old buggy back in there. Just have fun with it, folks. I hope you've enjoyed this. I've had a blast with this painting. And so put all the details that you feel comfortable with, but just a little more highlight right here. And we're going to have to go. We're going to start a brand new painting in our next session, folks. I cannot wait to show you. You're going to love it. So God bless you, stay inspired. I'll see you right here. I promise real soon. Another session of Paint This with Jerry Arnell. The School of Art.